All right, you guys, we are back in Las Vegas. Actually, I'm always in Las Vegas now.
Welcome to Vegas.
Back for good things, Dom. And we're out with Dom today for Project AD. So I was actually bugging Joe over and over since the beginning of the month to do a video, and he's been so busy with all kinds of projects for Project AD. So you know what, you're going to Vegas. How about you hook up with Dom, and we're going to talk about some cool stuff. So I'm really glad to have you on. Dom, we've had you a couple of times already, but you've been settled in Vegas. You're doing well over here. You love it, right?
Oh, dude, it's like we were speaking about before the video. I don't even look back to New York anymore. You know, it's just everything about the place. You know what it is? Now I'm really starting to get happy. You know, your environment sets the tone for everything. You know, the home you live, having a clean home, you know, the people you're surrounded with and everything around you, you know, that can really set the tone for your happiness and your energy. And you know, the past few months, you know, even though bodybuilding-wise, I had a little bit of health issues, nothing serious, but everything else is thriving. You know, I'm super excited for the year to come, and I'm happy to be here.
You look happy.
Yeah, man.
You look happy.
It's been a long time.
I'm happy for you. So, cool. So, Dom, we haven't really touched on that a lot before, but you've been heavily busy as a prep coach. You've been really, really busy. We actually filmed a little bit at the Tampa Pro where Joe Mackey was, and that was kind of cool to get behind the scenes and stuff. So I want to talk a little bit about what it's like to be a full-time coach. This is actually something you do full-time. You're busy a lot, and you were going to bed at like 3 o'clock in the morning in Tampa because you had to get back to all your people and stuff. So I find it interesting, and I want to ask you some questions about that line of work that you're doing. Tell me some of the questions that you get the most as a prep coach, and something that keeps coming back over and over, and just go over that real quick.
Yeah, so basically, like you just said, you know, I started coaching full-time 2.5 years ago. To give people a little background of me, I started coaching when I was 16, and my dad was my first client. And he told me, he goes, I want you to be like Factory. Factory is my first coach. He goes, I want you to learn. And I did it for free for a few years. I would ask people, I'd say, hey, listen, you know, I'm still learning. Would you know, mind if I coach you? And then eventually turned into people wanting to pay me. And then 2.5 years ago, thankfully, it got to a level where I was able to do it full time, and I love what I do. It's not work to me. You know, I'm doing what I love in the bodybuilding industry and helping others. So, you know, working with different coaches throughout the years, getting to know a lot of the upper level bodybuilders, and even, you know, talking with a lot of really good doctors. And I'm a very anti-doctor of medicine for the most part, but there's a lot of great doctors out there that look outside the box of the normal big pharma. And usually, you know, these doctors throw drugs at things. So as a coach, I will get a lot of non-competitors come to me as well, aside from competitors who may have health issues. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, guys. I'm not going to use big words to try to wow you. I'm going to simplify things because I even need help simplifying things for myself. So, you know, they will come to me and maybe they're on a slew of medications, either it be for type 2 diabetes, borderline diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, whatever it is. And there's no emphasis on exercise and nutrition and how to fix these things. I mean, I have seen over and over and over so many people come off these medications, not at my discretion, it was at the discretion of the doctor, just with the plan working, that they came off of it. So a big question I actually get a lot is about insulin sensitivity and insulin resistance.
Okay.
I feel like it's not spoken about enough in bodybuilding, but it also too in today's general, you know, society. It's not really looked at. People don't realize how bad insulin resistance and running high blood sugars are for you. Especially here in America. I mean, kids are raised on eating fast food, saturated fats, sugars, all in one meal, and, you know, not really exercising. They're sitting in their phones or sitting on an iPad and not doing anything. And then we notice, you know, a lot more overweight, a lot more obesity in today's society, a lot more disease, diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, even joint issues, which I'll go into with running high blood sugars. You know, it all stems back to your nutrition and how you're taking care of things. So with insulin resistance, I'm going to mainly talk about the bodybuilding side of things, but I'm also going to talk about the general society outlook. If you want to call it medical, I'm not going to call it medical. So what is insulin resistance? Insulin resistance is basically when you eat carbohydrates or sugar, your blood sugar rises, it goes in the bloodstream. Your pancreas is going to produce insulin to help take it out of the bloodstream and bring it into, you know, glycogen stores, but even fat stores as well, because there is insulin sensitivity in fat stores, but that's a whole nother subject. So basically, when you're type 2 diabetic, you're running high blood sugars most of the time. Normally, a doctor will just put you on a drug called metformin.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's used in bodybuilding. There's some applications for it in bodybuilding. But guys, like I said, I'm not giving you medical advice, but 9 times out of 10, if you're running high blood sugars and your doctor puts you on metformin, you can most likely get it down with losing body fat and changing nutrition, which we're going to get into. Because why take another drug when you can
do it naturally?
Exactly.
Yeah, with food.
I mean, in today's time, we have more disease, more birth defects, and more people with medications than we ever did. And people seem to be living a lot, you know, dying a lot younger. I mean, the amount of people I knew that died over the past years from cancer and heart disease in a younger age is insane compared to, you know, our parents and grandparents' time, with people living to 80, 90. So anyways, back to insulin resistance. I'm going to talk briefly about the health effects of it and why you may be running high blood sugars. So basically, when you're running high, I made some notes, so if you guys don't mind, I'm going to look down. So basically, when you're running high blood sugars, the lower end of high is 99. With my athletes, ideally, I like to keep them under 90. Normally, when you're over 99, you're becoming insulin resistant, which I'm going to get deeper into. So basically, how can you know if you're running high blood sugar? Aside from waiting to go to the doctor and running a fasted blood work to where they show glucose, you can go to Walgreens or CVS or any pharmacy online and buy a simple glucose meter test. Guys, invest in this. Even if you're not a competitor, and let's say you're just trying to lose body fat and you may be having a hard time, if your blood sugar is running high, you're not going to burn fat. You know, so a simple way is you buy the blood sugar test. It always comes with a lancet. You poke your finger, you put the strip in the meter, you test it, and it's going to give you the number. As I said, the lower end of high is 99. I like to keep it below 90. So this is super important. You can test it on your own. What you do is when you wake up in the morning, you test it fasted, and you test it 2 hours after your first meal. Okay. And that'll give you, that's called postprandial, and that'll give you the accurate readings of where your blood sugar is at. So with the health effects of it, I mean, if you're running high blood sugars for a long time, you're going to turn type 2 and maybe eventually type 1. Type 1 diabetes, as many of you may or may not know, is when your pancreas produces no insulin, and you need to take it, you know, on its own. You don't want to get to that, guys. I mean, aside from it leading to diabetes, sugar and running high blood sugars are very inflammatory. Inflammation in the body brings about cancer. If you have a tumor in your body, or they want to look for a tumor, they'll give you a glucose tab, put you in a PET scan, and the tumor will actually glow. Sugar fuels cancer. Sugar ruins your kidneys. Sugar ruins your heart. Better known as excuse my pronunciation, atherosclerosis. That's basically plaque hardening in the arteries. Common misconception is fats cause heart disease and plaque in the arteries. Can it? Yes, of course. But most of the time, it's from running high blood sugars and turning into triglycerides inside your bloodstream. I've even seen people who ran high LDL most of their life, hereditary, get a cardiac CT scan, and they had no plaque buildup at all. But you have somebody who's running high triglycerides most of the time, high blood sugars, it's going to build up in your arteries. And aside from that, you know, inflammation in the body is going to lead to joint issues, gut issues, vision issues, and like I said, diabetes. So remember, guys, there's a lot of misconception out there. This is for me, this is a very important topic in today's society because it could be the root of cancer, and that's a very special subject, not in a good way, because my mom died of cancer, and she was a very big sugar consumer. And today, you know, sugar isn't really looked at the devil. They say, oh, burgers are the devil, eggs are the devil. Not true. It's running high blood sugars, and we really want to keep that under control. So now onto the bodybuilding side of things. Why is this important? What signs can you look for without testing? You should be testing anyway. Now, you're not always going to see all of these signs in your physique. You may not even see any signs. It really depends on the person. But usually with clients, I notice they're not getting pumps. When you're in the off season, you're hydrated, getting your sodium eating, you should have blasting pumps all the time. So I noticed that when you start to accrue excess body fat, that's another sign, because high levels of body fat does lead to insulin resistance. You know, those fat cells are just growing in size when you're insulin resistant and not insulin sensitive. You may get fatigue, excessive urination, which is a sign of running high blood sugars, or like I said, or none. Or, you know, you're not going to grow as much as you can be growing because your body's fighting against you. It's going through a whole system of inflammation. The carbohydrates aren't going where they need to go, and you're just getting fat. So now what can cause this from the bodybuilding or even the general public side of things? Too much food. It's just that simple. Overconsumption of carbohydrates and fats in one meal, too many sugars, starchy carbs. Then we have, on the bodybuilding side of things, there's drugs too that can raise your blood sugar and cause insulin resistance. Running high doses of growth hormone for long periods of time. SARM called MK677. Guys. Sorry, guys, that may happen.
Live TV.
So MK677 and some other growth hormone increasing peptides. Another big one a lot of people don't realize is stress and cortisol. When you're not sleeping efficiently, your cortisol levels are going to spike very high over longer periods of time than they should, which is going to cause a raise in blood sugar. That's the body going into fight versus flight. Your body's not rested, there's cortisol spiking, so it starts really driving with the blood sugar. This is very noticeable in type 1 diabetics. That's why I know so much about it, because one of my best friends is type 1 diabetic, and he was also a competitive bodybuilder. And during prep, he noticed, you know, when you should be the most sensitive, when he wasn't sleeping well, when stress was high, the first thing he noticed, those morning sugars were rising, and it's from cortisol. So these are the physique signs and what can cause it. So now we're going to go briefly into how can you reverse it from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive. And I'm going to break it down very simply for you guys. I tried to make a basic diet, which I'm going to call off to you guys, and the changes that I would make to this diet if this person came to me and they were running high blood sugars. Let's say they were running, I don't know, 105 every morning, which isn't extremely high, but it's still not good. You want to try to keep it under 80. So
80 or 90?
Under 90, excuse me. Yes, under 90.
Yeah, I'm paying attention.
Yes, you are. A lot of thoughts going through my head. Under 90. So we have Athlete X. Meal number 1, he has 8 ounces of protein, 120 grams of cream of rice, and a fat. Meal 2, 8 ounces of protein, 400 grams of rice, and a fat. Meal 3, 8 ounces of protein, 12 ounces of a white or sweet potato, whatever it is. Meal 4, 400 grams of white rice and a protein. Meal 5, 12 ounces of potato and a protein. I made a very basic diet just so you guys can see from a very high carbohydrate aspect of things. I mean, people can even turn resistant based on their body type, you know, running low carbs. It all comes down to how much body fat are you holding? Are you really training hard? Are you doing cardio? And such and so forth. And with that, just a little side note, with the training, guys, train your asses off, man. You know, either be you're a regular, you know, athlete, a bodybuilder, get in the gym and really work hard. Because, you know, when you're really breaking down that muscle tissue, your body's moving, your heart rate's going, train hard because you're creating the stimulus for your body to absorb nutrients. You know, that blood sugar is going to lower throughout the workout. It's just, everybody should really get out there and exercise hard in some way, even if you're not a bodybuilder, because it just creates the stimulus for your body to absorb nutrients that it needs, and it's going to call for it. So just a little side note. So now let's say we want to fix Bob's fasting blood sugars before it gets too out of control, right? So we're going to go meal 1. Let's say just 8 ounces of protein. Now, mind you also too, guys, high amounts of protein with some people can also convert into sugar. This is called gluconeogenesis, and it happens a lot of times when people are prep and so whatnot. So just be aware of this when you're running high amounts of protein. It's another factor that you can take into an account.
What do you consider high?
It really depends on the person. I mean, there's some guys that can, let's say a 250-pound man can get away with 300 to 350, even 400, and someone else can't. I learned about this when I prepped my friend who was type 1 diabetic, and he was known to come and peeled. So I learned a lot about how he applied his insulin to his diabetes and bodybuilding and all these factors. And we noticed when the carbs were really low and there weren't really any fats in, his sugars were running a little high. And if it wasn't stress, it was the proteins converting to sugars, which is called gluconeogenesis. So that's when he would have adjusted his basal insulin, which is not what I'm recommending anybody to do. I'm just talking about somebody else's experience with it. So remember, your proteins can convert as well. So meal 1, we got 8 ounces of protein. We had 120 grams of cream of rice, We're going to cut that cream of rice down to, you know, let's make it a little different. We're going to do 80 grams of gluten-free oats. Got some fiber in there. It's a more slower digesting carbohydrate. And we're going to throw in, we had fats in the first meal. We're going to keep 2 whole omega eggs in that first meal, which is going to lead into another point. When you're lowering the carbs and adding some fats in, essential fatty acids are proven to help with lowering blood sugar and reversing insulin sensitivity. Mainly your omega-3s and omega-6s. There's some other ones too, but there's the most studies on these two, the omegas, that are going to really help bring those down. So I love omega eggs, I love salmon, I love supplementing with a high quality fish oil. So just another point to keep in mind, guys. And then we're going to add 180 Matador into that first meal. And we're also going to add 1 scoop of 80 fiber. Yes, a shameless plug, guys, but there's studies behind this. Now, when you have dietary fiber into your plan, insoluble, it is proven to help lower your blood sugar. Aside from all the other digestive benefits of it, it can really benefit with the blood sugar side of things. I mean, this should be a staple in almost everybody's plan, especially if they're not getting enough fiber in their diet. And then with the Matador, this is one of the original glucose disposal agents, also known as a GDA, on the market. It's been around for the longest time. You have so many out there now, but I have seen so many people's, including diabetics, blood sugar readings while using this. There's been experiments people have done, and they've been documented on social media, on the Project AD social media somewhere, where this does truly help with partitioning bringing down the blood sugar and partitioning all that glucose into glycogen, which is what we want. We don't want it to be stored as fat. So this is truly going to help, and I'll give you guys a brief rundown of what this is, what's in this. Excuse me if I pronounce anything wrong. So usually RALA is excellent for blood sugar control. In here you have NARALA, which is a stronger form. The Giardiniera sylvestre, bitter melon, cinnamon extract, prickly pear extract, fenugreek. And then we have berberine. Berberine is amazing for blood sugar and even lowering triglycerides. So if you're running higher triglycerides, you may want to try adding in, like I said, Matador, because it does have berberine in it, which is excellent for keeping that blood sugar low and the triglycerides down. And then there's a few other ingredients. So my rule of thumb usually with this is 1 capsule per 50 grams of carbs. You can also still use it on a lower amount of carbs, 20, 30 grams, but that's usually the base recommendation of using Matador. I put it in every athlete's carb meal. And that actually could also help prevent you from running higher blood sugars because you're really partitioning that.
So every time you have a meal of at least 50 grams of carbs or more, one pill, okay.
But I also want to make a note too, like say if you are running a lower carb meal, say if somebody's in prep, whole other subject, but say if they're on 30 grams of carbs in that meal, I'll still add 1 in. Okay. Because if we keep those blood sugar levels down and as stable as possible, they're going to burn more fat, which a lot of people don't realize. If you're all over the place with these peaks and valleys of running high, you can't burn fat,
So this basically just helps you redistribute the carbs in the right places.
Put, yes.
Yeah.
It's gonna go right to glycogen, away from those the fat stores, and bring that blood sugar out of the bloodstream, which is what we want.
Gotcha.
We don't want all that sugar floating around. It destroys everything in the body.
Awesome.
So again, meal 1, 8 ounces of protein, 80 grams of gluten-free oats, 2 whole omega eggs, 180 Matador, 1 scoop of fiber. Meal 2, we're going to go 8 ounces of protein again. Mind you, we had 400 grams of white rice, which is roughly about 90 to 100 grams of carbs.
So how many ounces is that? That would be like 13 ounces
of rice.
Yeah.
It's about 2. It's about 2 cups. So it's going to be almost 16. Yeah. 14 between 16, depending on the water consistency. Yeah, it's a very high carb diet. So we're going to actually, let's say, we want to really bring these blood sugars down in a fast amount of time, right? We're going to add 5 ounces of string beans, just veggies. And I'm going to add 10 grams of organic coconut oil in, which is also an excellent fat source. Meal 3, we're going to do 8 ounces of protein. And in the meal before, we had 12 ounces of potato. We're going to cut that down to 5 ounces of sweet potato, 1 Matador, and we're going to also add 1 tablespoon of flax seeds. Flax seeds are amazing not only for cholesterol but also for running high blood sugars. the benefit, there's plenty more benefits of it. I've seen this work over and over, but it's an excellent add-in for digestive health and blood sugar as well. Then we have meal 4. Again, 8 ounces of protein. Now, when I talk about protein, guys, try to keep it lean if you can. Chicken, turkey, white fish. You can also, you can have the bison, you can have a little bit of steak in, but during this period of time, you are looking to drop some body fat. And this is an extreme measure, but we needed it down fast. So for this week, week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, we're going to burn through some body fat. We're going to get those blood sugars low. So we're going to keep the other fats on the lower end of things while adding in more of the EFAs, such as, the fish oil, the whole omega eggs, the coconut oil. So meal 4, 8 ounces of protein. We're actually going to only do 100 grams of white rice compared to the 400 before. Then we're going to add in, again, we're going to add 1 cup of spinach because we want more veggies in there right now. And we're going to add another 80 Matador with this meal.
How many Matadors?
1 Matador.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we're doing 1 Matador per meal.
So if you get, let's say, on a really high carb meal and you get like 100 grams of carbs, do you do 2? So it's 1 pill per 50.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Also another rule of thumb too is, say if that athlete's blood sugars are running lower and they're fine, I'm only going to have them do 1 Matador for 100 grams of carbs.
Gotcha.
Because there's really no reason to use more if their blood sugars are running stable and less peaks and valleys, But ideally, for most people, it's going to be 2 pills per 50 grams.
Okay.
And then meal 5, we are actually going to do 8 ounces of salmon. Salmon is amazing, guys, for cholesterol, lipids in the bloodstream. It's full of omega fats. Again, back to the omegas. It's great to supplement, but if you can also get it out of your diet as well, there's also plenty of other sources. I'm just trying to make this as basic as possible, quick for you guys. Wild caught salmon is amazing. And then we're going to have 1 cup of spinach, 1 more tablespoon of flax seeds, and that's it for the diet. We have 1 scoop of fiber in there for now. With this lower carb diet, if you do run into maybe having less bowel movements, then you would add in 1 more scoop of fiber maybe at night.
Okay.
So aside from the dietary and supplemental changes, cardio is also going to be your biggest tool. I know a lot of bodybuilders don't like doing cardio. I hate cardio. But aside from it being amazing for your heart, which is the most important muscle in our body, guys, that's a given. It's going to really help not only bring your body fat down, but doing it fasted in the morning, get the blood sugar down in the morning. If you're running high, you go do cardio, I guarantee you your blood sugar will be low quite a bit. Get into that first meal, and that's setting the tone for your day. You'll feel great. You're starting the day at a lower blood sugar. And like I said, cardio is going to really help you burn fat along the diet. So with a plan like this, I would really run it 1 to 2 weeks. Usually that's more than enough to fix somebody. As I said, there's some other outside factors as well. Say if they're taking a high dose amount of growth hormone or SARM like MK677, which I'm not too crazy about, or whatever these other peptides are out there that can cause it, you're going to have to reduce those for the time being, for sure, or cut them out totally. I know a lot of guys don't want to hear that, but like I said, after all the health effects, I spoke to you guys about insulin resistance and running high blood sugars. I think that's a bit more important than having those things in.
Let me ask you something. So you said ideally you want to have your blood sugar at 90 fasted in the morning, right?
Yes.
So when you take the second reading, which would be 2 hours after your first meal, what would be a good number?
You should be almost back to normal. You should be back to
really?
normal. Yeah. For instance, like me, I tested mine this morning. I woke up at 77. I ate my first meal. 2 hours after my first meal, I was down to 91 or 92.
Okay.
Which is pretty damn good for 2 hours post-meal.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should be a little higher after you eat something versus fasted, well, that's the thing.
Right? It's 2 hours after post-brain meal.
So technically you're supposed to be fasted again? Close to it?
Yeah. Yes and no. It's going to be higher than your fasted number, which is okay. Yeah. If you're running 90 to 95, 2 hours post-meal, that's not still good.
Okay.
Yeah, because that fasting is really low. And I also want to add, what were you going to say, Dave?
What do you want to not be above? Like, what would you say, okay, this is a problem? Like over 100?
When I see somebody go over 99, that's when I go address it.
Gotcha.
If you're in the off season in your 90s, it's not the worst thing because 99 is the lower end of high. But once you see that go over 99, 100, address it before it gets totally out of control.
That's good to know.
Yeah, but ideally, I like to have guys under 90 at all times. And also, too, you will hear a lot on the internet as well. that if you're running high blood sugars, to take insulin to give your pancreas a break. I disagree with this. Why would you put having insulin floating in your body, and people say it's to give the pancreas a break. Is there some medical backing to this? Yes, but why would you want to take another drug? I know it sounds crazy as we're bodybuilders, and we do crazy things, but if we can do as much as possible naturally, especially when it comes to our health, please do it, because that's the whole point of why I laid all this out for you guys. Yeah. Like I said, it'll take a week or two, maybe a little bit longer, but these are the roundabout ideas of how to change, how to bring that blood sugar down, and the effects of everything.
Do you have any suggestion when it would be best to train in this kind of diet? Does it matter or not?
No, honestly,
really?
No. Some people, you got to think about it too. It's going to be lower carb no matter what. Okay. Some people, mind you, may just cut the carbs they had before in half and get back into the range. It depends on the person. But with training, honestly, I never like having anybody train before meal 1 and after meal 5, because I like to have them fed, and I also like them to eat before bed, because you're breaking down muscle. So with this, it really doesn't matter. Wake up, do your cardio, eat meal 1, go train. Eat if you want to train after meal 2, meal 3, meal 4, whatever. Okay. There's no way. It just really comes down to personal preference. I personally feel better after 3 or 4 meals a week. Yeah,
I would think you have more energy because you're more full, but also because a lot of people say, if you have to eat more carbohydrates, try to keep them higher before and after training. How do you feel about that?
Logically, it makes sense, but in the bodybuilding realm of things, best, we got to eat around the clock. Yeah. Of course, a lot of times you will, of course, have a little bit higher carbs before and after training, because the training is going to really reduce that blood sugar and push it where it needs to go. With me and my clients, honestly, it's for the most part evenly spread throughout the day. Okay. Unless it's on, say, maybe a super high carb day on, maybe their back is their weak point or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then I'll do the whole day is very high, but then pre, intra, and post workout, they're going to be much higher. So it really depends on your application and what you're really shooting for. But for the most part, general idea, it's spread out throughout the day. Okay, great, awesome, good. Talk to me a little bit about how you could help someone. So is this diet would only be good for bodybuilding, or it's good for everyone, general population? So the thing with this, guys, is I gave this diet just as a general base so you get an idea. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to copy this exact diet, because say if you're a 150-pound man and you're eating 8 ounces of protein per meal, so I don't want to make that point. That's just way too much. Yeah. But I just wanted to give everybody the general idea of the changes they can make with an outline. So anybody can really do it. Again, this is not medical advice. I don't want you to go against your doctor, but personal experience. Yeah, personal experience. Yeah. Most doctors won't tell you any dietary changes to make. They'll put you on meds. Yeah. Yeah, they're just going to put you on medications. Yeah. How many people are you coaching, Dom? I know you're busy. How many clients do you have on a regular basis? I believe now it's about 90, 99. That's a lot. Yeah, it's a good amount. It was higher at one point. What's the most you ever had? 128. Wow. Yeah. Is that hard to deal with? Honestly, at the time, yes, but I was also very unorganized. I was glued to that computer day and night. Yeah. I was sleeping a few hours a night. Wow. Texting people all day, check-ins throughout the whole week. Some people are checking in numerous times a week. But with the whole pandemic and everything, it's just been a bit slower this year. Yeah. But it's picking up again, and next year is going to be a big year, because everybody's looking to get back to the stage or get back in shape after, maybe gaining a lot of weight with the gym closures and whatnot. Let me ask you something. So obviously, and I've heard your name way before I actually met you, which is funny, because I've heard about you for a long time. Cardone Nutrition, but you are also seeking help yourself from someone else. Tell me, why is it important, even for a prep coach, to have someone else to bounce ideas off, or tell me why? So basically, I do not have from my personal standpoint, I do not have the mental state, I guess, the process of thinking to be able to coach myself. I overthink everything personally. Okay. With my clients, I can sit there and compute whatever it is and just be calm and relaxed. But when it comes to my own body and my own physique, I don't even want to think. Obviously, if something comes out of nowhere, I can handle it, but I don't want to think. I just want to be told what to do, and that's it. I don't want to look at myself. I don't want to have to think about the changes to make, because my mind screws with me bad during prep. Even off season 2, I just like to be told what to do, and that's it. Can I coach myself? I'm 100% confident in that with the applying everything. But when it comes to actually looking at myself and
making changes,
analyze and make myself, I'm going to be a nutcase.
And I think that's why a lot of the great champions, including, you know, Sean Roden, Jay Cutler, Dexter Jackson, people always say, why do you need a trainer? Why do you need a nutritionist? I think that's why. I think it's 100%. Because it's hard to be objective, look yourself in the mirror and make the necessary adjustment, you know, for you, because it's a lot of pressure, right?
100%, because it is a lot. I know for me personally, it is a lot of pressure on me mentally. And, you know, when you're getting ready for these shows, and, you know, for me, off season is just as important as pre-contest. I just like to be told what to do. I report back, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's hard to keep that objectivity when it's all by yourself, I think, because you always want. You may be in the problem would be to push yourself too much.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That is a problem.
Overdoing things.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
Like I will go into the gym and I will just drill myself, and I do it no matter what anyway, even though, you know. But with the nutrition side of things, like if you left it to me during prep, I'm probably going 0 carbs for the longest amount of period of time, doing cardio, and I just love that feeling of suffering.
Yeah.
Is it ideal? No. But you know, these have to make changes on the fly when your mind is messing with you. It's a very big factor today, and I think too, the mental side of things for competitors today is what really screws them up, because number one, they're pressured by social media. Yeah. A lot of guys in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, 90s, they didn't have social media, so it's very easy to stay focused. Mm-hmm. You know, they just had magazines. You know, they were in the gym training themselves. A lot of them did coach themselves. Today, from my dealings with my clients, there's a lot of pressure on people from social media. Oh, why don't I look like this client? Oh, why don't I look as good as this guy? They're just constantly playing this thought process instead of, you know, this is where I am in this point in time. This is where I should be in this point in time, and I will get where I have to get when the time is right. And that pressure of social media and people seeing other people, like I said, I hear it all the time from people. It really messes with them mentally, and then of course it's going to project onto what you do. So that's why I tell all my clients, follow the plan, give me all the honest feedback you need, be honest, and don't even think. Let me worry, let me do all the worrying for you, you just do the work, and I will get you there.
The same goes about training. You were just telling me that, you know, for the longest time you know, train by yourself or you train with other people, and now lately you just start training with someone else as a training partner who actually is better for you because it just kind of reels you back a little bit.
Yes, I'll give him a shout out. You know, as a lot of you may or may not know, I've been dealing with serious stomach issues for almost a year now. Finally pinpointed the last 2 months what it's been. I've made almost no progress because of it. I sort of ignored it. Again, this is why I can't coach myself. I can't coach myself, dude. I mean, my stomach was distended out here, and here I am jamming 10 ounces of freaking steak with 6 eggs back in February. You know, I would never tell a client to that. Go figure. It's like one of those things that my dad would say, do as I say, not as I do.
That's right.
So my current nutritionist, AJ Sims, Cement Factory, he was actually my first ever coach when I was 15, before I got into competing with Factory. And, you know, it's funny, we have reconnected, and he's excellent at what he does. So we're preparing for the 2021 season. Nice. And then the past few weeks I've been working with the trainer out here, Andrew Fryer. He's very intelligent, but he doesn't let that get in the way of working hard. And he also, I just went through a phase where I had to fix my stomach, all liquid diet, whatnot. So I have to be very careful on how hard I push it in the gym. Mm-hmm. So he's keeping an eye on me. You know, he's training me in the gym. We're either raising the volume every week, raising the intensity. Like I said, guys, I like to just be a soldier with this. I just tell me what to do. I follow, I execute, and that's it. You know, because if it was up to me, I would just be doing everything I tell people not to do.
That's funny you bring that up, and I'm glad that you're honest enough to say it, because I don't think people would want to say that, but that's just reality.
Man, when it comes to all this, I don't have an ego. Yeah. And everything I say, I hope that somebody can have some sort of take home from it, because I started bodybuilding at a very young age. Last I competed was 2016. I'm getting back into it, as a lot of you know. I have a lot of unfinished business. But I've learned from a lot of great people. I was very fortunate to be surrounded with a lot of the greatest coaches there are, a lot of the greatest bodybuilders there are, aside from my own research. So any little thing I can put out there from mistakes I've made, I hope that somebody can learn from, especially the younger generation, because there's so much misinformation out there that it actually bothers me quite a bit.
I think the problem also is that there's too much information. Too much information with the internet. So now to actually decipher what's good from what's not, that sometimes it's not good to have too much info. Before it was hard to get the info. Now it's like too available almost.
100%. I mean, everything is, I don't have a phone here, but
Yeah.
you know, everything's at our fingertips,
Yeah.
right in the phone. You have social media, you have everything on the internet, you have Instagram, YouTube now.
Yeah.
When I started bodybuilding, it was only a couple years after I started all that came out. We had none of that.
Yeah.
It was like I would be on Google, like looking at these little forums for everything I could and trying to meet people in the gym. And yeah, especially with the younger guys, I mean, hell, even the older guys, there was a lot of misinformation. There's too much information.
Yeah.
And is there one way of doing things? No. Bodybuilding cannot be taught in a book, guys. And that's what I was taught. Like, you see these 2 notes here that I have? Say if I had a book, how to bodybuild. It's impossible. Everything is individual based. You can't base bodybuilding off of all science because of how the body reacts. So is there more than one way to skin a cat? Every human body is different. There's plenty of ways. But with that being said, there is way too much information out there and it confuses people, makes them overthink, and you know, our mind becomes our own worst enemy, like it can be for myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Dom, are you tapped out, or do you still accept new people?
No, I'm pretty much, it's what I do full time. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, if I had ever got, at times, if I get a lot of new clients, like I'll make a post saying there's a wait list, but I'm always taking on new clients, guys, non-competitors, competitors.
Good.
I don't care if you're a pro, I don't care if you're an amateur, I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom that wants to lose weight. I love what I do. It gets me so excited when people reach their goals, competitors and non-competitors, and they come back to me and they're happy, like either it be a change in their health, a change in their look. You know, in a way, humbly speaking, I have the ability to change somebody's life.
Yeah.
And my thing was my purpose in life was to be able to help others in some way. And this is my purpose. I love doing this. So, you know, as long as you're 100% serious and you're willing to work hard, I'm always taking clients. But one thing I have to say is, I don't sit there and run backs. If you want to be pushed, if you don't want to be bullshitted, I'll put it straight out there. If you don't want to be complimented all the time, then you're more than welcome to sign on.
How can people reach you?
You can reach me on Instagram, IFBB Pro Dominick Cardone, or you can email me at ifbbdomcardone@gmail.com. If you are going to inquire for coaching, guys, you know, contact me. Maybe say you found me on Jay Cutler TV.
Please. Yes.
And give me a little bit about yourself. You know, when you first, it says a lot about the first interaction with a client, because I don't take on everybody that comes to me. I look for a certain mindset. I try to feel everybody out. So when you do inquire, you know, give me a little bit about yourself, send some pictures, and we can talk about what you want to do. And if we're a good fit, you know, we can go from there.
Awesome. Any last words?
No, I just I appreciate if you've made it to the end. You know, I appreciate you for watching and listening to me ramble on. I hope I helped somebody in some way. Like I said, the goal of me putting information out there, which I put a lot of information on my Instagram as well, is to help people. So thank you for watching. You know, if you guys enjoyed it, I'll do plenty more of these, and you know, just contact me on my Instagram for when I do Q&As if you want to ask any questions, or for coaching.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll watch this video and people will leave comments on YouTube. Also, last thing, do you have any discount code on AD if people want to get some of that stuff?
Yes, I do. So one thing I have to say, guys, if you are interested in the Project AD line, I've been an athlete with them for 5 years. I've used the product.
First one. You were the
first American athlete, yeah. And I actually used the products before Joe signed me, which I was very grateful for. What I do have to say is I don't want to just push products to you guys. That's why I gave this whole layout to you.
Yeah.
If you have any questions on the line, DM me. I'll talk to you about it. I'll see if it fits. I'll tell you if you need it or you don't need it. And we'll go from there. And if you decide to go buy it anyway, you can use Dom20 for 20% off.
Awesome. There you go. That always helps a little bit.
Yeah,
Saving money.
Of course.
Dom, thanks for having me in your house, man. And I hope we do many more of those.
Thanks.
That's awesome. All right.